As part of efforts to put an end to farmers' herders' crisis, which is gradually becoming a national embarrassment, the National Economic Council has resolved that military personnel should be moved to troubled states to flush out armed bandits and militias from forest and other secret hideouts where crime and criminalities are carried out. Briefing stayed as correspondent after the National Economic Council meeting in Abuja, Bauchi State Governor Muhammad Abubakar says some of the recommendations by a subcommittee set up by President Muhammadu Buhari, headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, to find a lasting solution to the lingering crisis, also made it clear that the federal government does not have any intention of forcing states to give away their lands for either colonies or grazing reserves.
Chief among the issues that were discussed by the National Economic Council is the current problem of herdsmen-farmers clashes. If you recall, the National Economic Council had set up a working group under the Mr. Vice President to look into these problems of herdsmen and farmer clashes. The report of the working group was submitted, an interim report by Mr. Vice President. In that report, they have highlighted quite a number of issues that need to be looked into. They have recommended to Mr. President that in all the areas where these clashes are prevalent, the military should be moved in to buttress whatever the Nigeria police and other security agencies are doing in forestalling these problems. The committee has recommended strongly that the military should move into all forests around areas where the clashes are prevalent, with a view to flushing out all bandits that are hiding in those areas. The most important thing is that some measure should be taken in attempting to settle down the herdsmen so that they will stop moving with their herds from one section of the country to the other, and in the process creating all the problems that we are experiencing. The working group made it very clear that under the provision of the Land Use Act, it is the governors of states that superintend over land in the states. Therefore, the federal government of Nigeria is in no position, and in fact, the federal government will not impose on any state any type of solution, be it ranch, be it grazing reserve, or whatever.
Speaking on the current fuel scarcity across the country, Muhammad Abubakar said Council had already mandated one of his standing committees to liaise with the NNPC and relevant agencies on how to find a lasting solution to the crisis.
The second major issue that was discussed was the issue of the scarcity of petroleum products. Issue is, of course, caused by an interplay of the exchange rate of the naira and the dollar and the price of crude oil in the international market, which affect the landing cost of refined products in Nigeria. The National Economic Council, it has a committee that has been interfacing with all revenue generating agencies of the federal government under the chairmanship of the governor of Gombe State. That committee has been charged with the responsibility of interfacing with the NNPC with a view to determining the correct price for PMS, considering the price of the product in especially the countries that are bordering Nigeria.
The special advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on social investment program, Mrs. Miriam Weiss, who briefed the council on the progress made so far in the program, told journalists that out of 1 trillion naira budgeted for the program in the 2016 and 2017 budget, only 15.8% has been released and spent, which she attributed to scarcity of funds at the federal level.
On progress on the social investment programs to NEC, we reported that the total direct number of beneficiaries from all the programs is currently 7,812,201 persons, We have secondary beneficiaries of over 1.5 million, mainly farmers and cooks, because of the multiplier effect of the economy and the money that's going into these economies around the states. Total actual spending in 2017 and 2016 is 15.58% of the amount appropriated for the programs. This is the amount of money that has been released out of the budget appropriated for the Social Investment Office. We identified certain challenges relating to corrupt practices in the state by some state officials, racketeering, taking advantage of the levels of literacy of the women who are poor and illiterate. Their vulnerabilities are exploited, so we pleaded with the state governors to please take more interest in what is going on so that they can be protected.
Ms. Uwais also used the medium to speak on some of the challenges of the program, which includes fraud at the state level and the vulnerability of the women involved in the program as a result of their low level of education.
So the funds that have been made available to us, I think it's something that has happened in all instances. It's the amount of money that's available, revenue, that's released to us monthly. So we are hoping that this year we will get a better allocation. Yes, I can say that we have found some fraud in the states. I can vouch for us at the federal level because all monies that are released from federal are released I just sign off. It's the Ministry of Budget and Planning that has amount, and we go through NIBS. Every single beneficiary has a BVN number, and the money is paid directly to their accounts. Now, what has been happening in the states, once it's brought to our attention, we have had state officials suspended. We've had them replaced. We're waiting for reports on others. So we are not looking the other way because we do realize that the credibility of the program, it depends on public perception, even the sustainability. If the public appreciates what we're doing, the public will demand for it and clamor for it. I have not ever condemned anybody. I have actually thanked people for bringing this information, and we've opened up, we've started a track with us, we've asked the public, we've encouraged whistleblowing, we've got a situation room with numbers where people can tell us what is happening at state level because we're not everywhere. So what I'm saying is that in at least 3 states, we've had those people removed. We've asked the states to replace them, and we've asked the EFCC to investigate where the funds have gone. Because what happened in one of the states, for instance, is that the state officials created another account and asked the banks to transfer monies from the cooks' accounts. This is what we found out later. And they invited suppliers that we did not know about, and they were supplying things like salt and firewood, which is available for cooks in their own communities. So this is what I mean when I say they're taking advantage of the levels of literacy.
She therefore called on Nigerians to help report any form of fraud and misconduct they observe in the program to make it achieve its aim. The National Economic Council was presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. From the ASO Presidential Villa, Abuja, I am Festus Ejiroga Nefifen for Ben Television.
The National Assembly has demanded explanation on the 10 billion naira budget by the Ministry of Transport for purchases of solar power mass transit vehicles meant for upgrade of public transportation across the country. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Land Transport, Senator Olugbenga Shafa, who chaired a joint section of both committee on the land transport, queried Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, on why the project is yet to be executed under the 2017 budget. The federal lawmaker agreed Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, on inadequate budgetary provision for railway projects. They said the poor fund release may affect the railways and other projects of the ministry. Also, the lawmakers sought to know why about 10 billion naira was budgeted for the purchase of solar power mass transit vehicle for distribution to transporters that are yet to be brought under the 2017 budget.
If you have it precisely page 2 of that, you said solar power tricycle and amphibious vehicle, and there you put ongoing. You have marked the sum of 10 billion there. Can you explain?
To know the condition of the freight office in Ilela. I'm aware that the sum of 80 million was appropriated for the completion of the project in 2017. But if you look at your 2018 budget, you still require another 56 million for the completion of the same project and another 175 million for the completion of the external works of the project. This is contradictory, and it doesn't go well for probity, transparency, and accountability, because we need to know why there is a tremendous rise in the variation and analysis.
It's not true. It was between end of December to early January that the contract was awarded. There's a process, sir. The process is that a contract will be signed. The contract will come from Ministry of Justice. Our own is to say, well, I want a contract, Ministry of Justice, give us the document. It does not come back to me. Then until we sign that contract between Ministry of Justice, between the Federal Ministry of Transportation with the company, we can't even release money. So we're waiting for what we submitted to Ministry of Justice as what we think is the contract. When it gets back to us, we sign. When we sign, we pay them 15%. We've taken a step further by visiting China to look at the factory so that the next payment can be made while waiting for Ministry of Justice. So it's not correct, sir, to say that we intend to return the money, sir.
But the lawmakers remain unsatisfied on Amaechi's answer. They asked for details while also asking for updates on state of rail project.
My cabinet was jubilating, expecting that the railway is passing through Ijebu for the first time. Nothing happened. We were blackmailed before the press that we are the one holding the appropriation, this and that. Excuse me. Appropriation was now, we now have it in abundance. The Minister of Finance voluntarily released fund, 68 billion, only 20 expended. Anyway, before I go forward, I have a lot to say here. I want to ask Mr. Chairman, ask the clerk to put the minister on note, so that whatever we take from here will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Chairman,
Amaechi later told the lawmaker that the money required for the rail project in Nigeria is in trillions of naira, and that the budgetary provision cannot cover for such massive project alone, hence the need for foreign loan that require rigorous funding mechanism. Hence, the federal government should not be blamed. From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting.
Lovely place, right?
Yes.
What's wrong? You don't look happy.
Take a look around. Why can't my hotel be like this?
I knew something was wrong, but I've got solution.
Solution? What?
Nanet.
Nanet?
Nanet offers you design solutions, building plans and construction, furnishing and equipping, financing, management, audit services, and many more services for a better hospitality business. Nanet, service with a smile.
Minister of Petroleum Resources Dr. Ibe Kachukwu has said plans are on to make sure that Nigeria attains self-sufficiency in petroleum products come 2019, as the president has given a directive for mobilization of private investors to make sure that the 3 refineries work up to maximum capacity. Ibe Kachukwu, who was speaking at a World Press Conference heralding the Nigeria International Petroleum Summit in Abuja, said the ministry is at the final stage of identifying who these private investors would be and other economic models that will ensure availability of petroleum products nationwide.
We have been working on refineries. Like the president approved for us to bring in private sector capital to help refurbish 3 refineries. A committee was set up. I head the steering committee, the technical committee set up by the GMB. And that work has, the results of that work has gotten to the board through the last board meeting, and we've basically gotten to a point where we are literally at the end of identifying the beneficiaries of those contracts. This is money going to be brought in by the private sector, invested in the refineries as a loan to enable the refineries to be rekitted, and then those monies will be repaid over a period of time to the private sector through the efficiency operations of the refineries. We're almost at it. We're targeting that by end of March, we would have signed the requisite contracts with requisite approvals from His Excellency the President, and then thereafter that the rekitting of the refineries will start. There will obviously be periodic add-ons to this. It's not going to be a 0 to, we're right now at about 14% utilization. We expect to achieve over 90% utilization once that is completed. I've already said, like I've set the target of 2019. End of 2019 to achieve a near self-sufficiency petroleum products. So that's working. I agree with you. Refineries are key, but different from refineries also the blueprint economic model for downstream operation, because you could have all the refineries. If the financial circumstances are not quite right, it still won't solve your problem. You have the liquids, but you can't sell the liquids. They'll end up selling externally. So there's a lot more we're doing, in terms of trying to develop the economic model itself, different from making sure the infrastructure works.
The minister also used the medium to address the recurring fuel scarcity, assuring Nigerians that it will soon be a thing of the past.
This is that we're all concerned about the queues that you see out there. We are working around the clock. NNPC is working around the clock on this. If you remember when this first started in December, it was a lot more massive. Lagos is largely fuel queue free. A lot of the state capitals, Abuja is still struggling because of some of the logistics issues. But I haven't gone around today, but definitely when I went around yesterday afternoon, there was a huge amount of improvement in that. So I will be instructing NNPC whatever it takes.
Speaking on the expected gains of the Nigeria International Petroleum Summit, which is slated for 18 to 22nd February 2018 with the theme Leading Africa's Response to Global Oil and Gas Challenges, Dr. Kachukwu says that the summit is designed to attract new investment and showcase the largest technologies that could be adopted for the upstream, midstream, and downstream sectors to ensure cost management in the Nigeria oil and gas industry.
The NIPS, the Nigeria International Petroleum Summit, I beg your pardon, will begin on the 18th and end on the 22nd. We're expecting quite a lot of ministers from OPEC and non-OPEC, from West Africa. We're expecting most of our top government officials here. And we cannot attract the requisite level of investors that we want if all we do every year is ship out our best, to Houston. So we'd love to see the best come to us, and therefore have an interest in seeing what is on the ground and develop. And already from the sort of reactions we're getting in terms of this year's attendance, it's basically less great.
The minister informed that the summit would attract participants from OPEC member countries and other international stakeholders across the globe, thereby providing a veritable platform for the international oil companies and other relevant stakeholders to brainstorm on ways to move the Nigerian petroleum sector forward. From Abuja, I'm Festus Ejiroge Nefifen for Ben Television.
In a bid to reduce unemployment and unskilled workforce in the country, federal government has launched a new initiative, the Nigerian Skilled Qualification Framework. Minister of Education Malam Adamu Adamu, who flagged off the framework in Abuja, said the era where expatriates were engaged to do almost all skilled labor in the country was over. He said federal government would reposition and strategically place technical and vocational education and training in proper perspective to ensure that the products of TVET institutions are able and available to perform their role and meet the aspirations of the Nigerian economy.
As part of this strategic plan, the ministry has determined the skills gap in the Nigerian educational system, and it is this gap that has helped Nigerian graduates, or that has made it too bad for them to become non-competitive on the global scene. Nigeria must produce a workforce that is skilled, efficient, highly mobile, adaptable, and innovative. And we cannot do this without doing this skills business, and that is why we are here today.
Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education, Dr. Masaudu Kazure, and other speakers at the event said NSQF was aimed at promoting lifelong learning, providing quality assurance and recognition for competency acquired in the formal, non-formal, and informal sector of the economy.
The training provided at the non-formal settings, which has positive contribution to the economy, is not coordinated, standardized, or regulated. This has brought about large skill gaps and mismatch of our curricula. It is for the above reasons and many others that National Board for Technical Education, in partnerships with stakeholders, commenced the drive for the institutionalization of Nigerian Skills Qualification Framework, NSQF.
Because this is a scheme that will help to develop or accelerate the process of our technological growth.
This is a welcome development for this country and puts us on the right step. And I hope in the not too distant future, many of us who have acquired high tastes of having nice buildings and so on will not have to import POP installers from Togo.
I just want to encourage us that I know if Nigerians, if we want to do something, we run with it. This is our opportunity. We are launching this today. Wow, I'm so happy, and we are happy. And we just want to congratulate you, sir. You and your team, I congratulate you.
Every government, this, present, past, even the future governments want to succeed. And one of the measures of success is your ability to create jobs, ability to put your people to work, to get your youth off the street, to keep your women, both young and old, engaged.
The Nigerian Skill Qualification Framework is a system for the development, classification, and recognition of skill, knowledge, understanding, and competencies acquired by individuals, irrespective of where and how the training or skill was acquired. Operational licenses were presented to some deserved awarding bodies and Sector Skill Council by the Minister of Education. In Abuja, LM Chukwemeka reports.